Hi, I'm going to talk about how film genres are categorized into different elements, and I'll also be talking to you about how genre changes over time due to the development of technology, producers, and audiences. Firstly, what is genre? Genre is a particular style in which its elements are categorized. In this sense, such as film genres, they are categorized according to setting, moods, and themes. They are classified in several ways, such as romance, action, horror, thriller, and comedy. How genre has changed over time, I believe, is because the growth of audiences and society it has changed massively, causing debate whether a genre is what it's known to be or not what it has been changed to be. This has now given a big impact on the film industry, and for them to up their game and to be level with the audiences and society's thoughts are towards a particular genre and to keep them interested. The development of technology is also why I believe genre has changed, due to the fact that we now have high tech equipment and technology. It now has more ability to produce a particular genre movie and more usual shots and soundings that may not have been produced or allowed to be produced 40, 50 years ago. How do audience and producers use genre? Firstly, with audiences, they can quickly identify types of film genres that they may watch and like. They then have expectations of the producers to produce what they want to see, which then gives an advantage to the producers as they are creating what the audience wants to see and making tons of money from it. However, a disadvantage is that after a while, audience may get bored, and when seeing a similar film over and over again, the audience know what to expect. Producers use genre to their advantage by knowing and seeing what genres are profitable and invest in those genres to be made. They also know what a particular genre target audience should be and what a particular genre expectation should be targeting. Let me introduce you to two men, Branson and Stanford. They say genre depends heavily on the formula and the expectations. Genre describes the way that companies producing and trading in the media goods trying to minimize risk by grouping and selling their products through established expectations. They also say part of your pleasure is that you both sort of know and don't quite know what to expect from it. With these quotes, I suggest that these two men are given evidence of how genre is towards producers and audiences and how they deal with the whole concept of the way genre is seen upon. I'd like to introduce Christian Met. He argues that genre passes through four steps in its cinematic life, besides the different genres that they produce. He categorises these steps as experimental, classic, parody, and deconstruction. I think that he is correct in some sense that genre goes through the cinema years and change over time. But what I don't understand is that some genres do categorise in these four steps. For example, the genres that aren't comical, they only go through half the process. So it's confusing to me what he actually means. How is genre identified? Genre is identified because of their own personal conventions. Let me introduce romantic comedy films. This particular genre conventions that make it a rom-com are two characters, preferably a man and a woman, and their relationship towards each other and how they deal with that relationship, with a pinch of comical circumstances that may occur throughout the film. Starting with a romantic comedy, I am going to show you a number of romantic comedy movies that I've watched and researched from different times and how they have changed due to the production, conditions, context, and financial changes. That clip from the film, The Shop Around the Corner. This story is about a man and a woman who dislike each other, but they are secretly writing love letters to each other, neither of them realizing that they are pen pals. The content in this film is very juvenile and based on a relationship with the opposite sex and how back then they dealt with these sort of issues. The commercial side of the film is that more than halfway through the audience know that they are both writing to each other. dedicating their love, and they don't know anything about it. So it brings somewhat of humour with what the audience know instead of what the characters know. The clip of film I'm going to show you is from 1989 called When Harry Met Sally. This story is about a man and a woman who have different opinions on how male and female should be when they are around each other. Sally thinks that male and females can be friends without having a romantic spark. However, Harry thinks that being friends with a female cannot happen because the sex parts get in the way. By the end of the film, those opinions go and they end up together and married. The comical side of the film is ways in which sexual towards each other and trying to make one another feel awkward. These two films, the production conditions, firstly, the shop around the corner is basic, only set in the shop. There is very little space for the actors to move around in. It also acts as if they were on stage, looking at cameras and talking to cameras. This is due to the fact that it is a low budget. It was the start of a development film, so producers didn't have the technology to make it as good as it could have been. However, with When Harry Met Sally, it was in colour, it was high budget, there was loads of settings in which it was filmed. The technology increased and there was a good use of technology used to be able to gain more exciting and unusual shots in the film. The contents in the shop around the corner compared to When Harry Met Sally, their outlook on relationship with females and males bonding is different in the sense that the 1940s was more innocent and unaware of what friendship could possibly change into and be more romantic. However, in the late 90s, people were confused in how to act and what to do when a female and male interacted. However, these two films are similar because both films are unaware of what a relationship is and how to be around a relationship that is getting serious. Financially changes, you can see that The Shop Around the Corner is a low budget, as if it filmed literally in a corner shop with actors that have come in to make the film. However, with When Harry Met Sally, there's a massive difference. There's more production with the actors and the producers. The producers have massively improved equipment that they can be supported throughout the film, and the actors have the different settings in which they can settle down being their actor. The next two clips I'm going to show you are from recent years: Bridget Jones' Diaries in 2001 and Friends with Benefits in 2011. Starting with Friends with Benefits, the story of this film is about. Oh, no, sorry, starting with Bridget Jones. The story of this film is that in her early 30s, she was annoyed that she was still single, so she decided to write a diary about the man she meets and what they are like and what she wants from her perfect man, which in her case is her boss. She manages to start dating her boss but then comes across Mark Darcy, who is an old friend of hers. Throughout the film, she realises that her boss isn't the guy for her and starts liking Mark Darcy. By the end, they end up together. Side of the film is that the comical side of the film is that it opens sexually, the sexual references that the characters say and how they show as well brings the humour out. It's very much a teenage woman film with the being single and finding Mr. Right. The story in Friends with Benefits is about a woman and a man that become good friends. When the man offers a job to the woman, the friendship then is taken to the next step, when they both have physical connection with each other, but they don't want a relationship. So they just decide to have a physical relationship. Then later on, the woman decides not to have this type of relationship anymore, and they stop. A couple months down the line, they both have dated different people, but it isn't the same. By the end, they fall in love with each other, and they become a couple. The comical side to this film is that it's taking the mick out of different kind of relationships and taking it to the next level, that maybe people shouldn't go there. These two films, The production conditions, as they are both 10 years apart, there are differences and similarities. Bridget Jones, the production is smaller just because it's a British made film. The conditions are limited because they haven't got enough money and they are not as wealthy as the American Hollywood film. Friends with Benefits, their production conditions are endless because they are able to produce and afford better equipment, settings, and ideas. The contents of Bridget Jones' Diary is setting are Christmas themed, so there is a lot of love and happiness, which is known for bringing the feelings out. The relationship defined Mr. Right with the commercial side has if it's someone's living the real life to pursue it has if it happens to every woman as if it happens to every woman. However, with Friends with Benefit, its content is what society can do now that its content is what society can do now if they want. It's viewed to the audience as a new method within a friendship that shouldn't be taken seriously. However, it may come a consequences. The financial changes in Bridget Jones is a high budget until you compare it to Friends with Benefits. Bridget Jones financially, they use good equipment and technology to be able to produce the humour within the film. Friends with Benefits financially is very high budget, and nowadays films can be watched in HD and 3D, unlike Bridget Jones, which can only be seen in 2D. Also, Friends with Benefits use expensive props like cars, suits, and etc. to be able to make the film as modern as they can. Decade after decade, rom-coms have massively changed their outlooks of relationships. The people is affected the most is the audience. I think people still enjoy and look forward to seeing rom-com movies because firstly, whoever is starring in rom-com, fans of the star are bound to see the film just because of the actor. Also, teenagers, women still love to see soppy endings just because I think they wish it were them and their story to find love. I think throughout the years, rom-com has got more popular due to the fact that now people know what it means and what type of film they are watching, and the fact that it brings humour persuades it to be a real life couple dealing with their problems and sharing to the audience how they do it. However, audience may get confused in losing the meaning of relationship. For example, Friends with Benefits. Audience may get lost in what they experience while they're doing such an unusual thing. Society has changed the way rom-com come across due to the fact that many people have different opinions on relationships because of their own personal experiences, which has changed the way producers now think of ideas to match what society believe are rom-coms. Rom-coms now have become more sexual than they were before, and it changes how a male and female may come across with each other. Also, with humour, it gets more funnier because with the audience are watching the humour side of the film, they can relate to and agree on with that kind of experience that it may have happened to them. It's not as if a girl falls over a banana skin on a date. No one can relate to that and find it funny because they don't get it. Rom-coms, I think, do have specific classifications, which is normally 12, 12A or 15. There are three specific classifications because they have sexual scenes references. Also, some rom-coms have swearing in them and may not be appropriate for younger viewers. Thank you for watching.